All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Dr. Sean, the physical therapy application coach, here with Renee. How we doing, Renee?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you.
I'm doing wonderful. How's
Good.
the bayou?
Great. Trying to dodge hurricanes right now, but we're good.
Yeah, that's true,
Yes.
man. And this is early.
This is early. I think
This
it's
is
going
way
to be a
early.
busy season. Yeah. It's going to
Yeah.
be busy.
Oh man.
Yes.
Well, hang in there. Stay safe.
Yes. Thank you.
So let's go ahead and have you. You have an awesome story, right? Like this is I would categorize you as like a non-traditional pre-PT applicant. But go ahead and share your story about like what's led you to this point. And then we'll kind of get into more of like the nitty gritties of when you actually started applying, but kind of what led up to the application.
Sure. Okay. So I'm Renee from New Orleans. I am an athletic trainer. I've been practicing for almost 4 years now. I got my undergraduate degree in athletic training, and I was a graduate assistant athletic trainer for 2 years. And then I came back home to New Orleans to work at the traditional high school setting, doing outreach, athletic training. My favorite part of it has always been the rehab. That's consistently has always been my favorite part of the day. And I knew that I will always love athletic training. The relationships that I've built with everyone, I looked forward to an opportunity to be able to do that in a different setting, and in a setting that would provide me with more of the rehab atmosphere on a day-to-day basis. So I was ready to kind of explore what that opportunity looked like.
Awesome. So you went back to school,
Mm-hmm.
and then what was the switch where you're like, okay, I'm going to apply to PT school? Because it sounds like this was like just stewing in your mind. Like, I like
Yeah.
rehab, but I don't know if I'm going to make the jump. What was the switch?
Yeah. So even back in high school, I was always torn between athletic training and physical therapy. And then when I was in my undergraduate studies, I decided to go with athletic training. But PT was always kind of in the back of my mind. I've always loved every second of athletic training. I met great athletes, great mentors, great friends, great colleagues. But again, rehab, that was just always kind of what kept me coming back for more. That was always my favorite part of clinicals, always my favorite part of being like an autonomous practitioner, was the rehab and the relationships that you build with people during rehab. And so finally, just one day after work, I came home and I said, I think I'm ready to explore more of what the PT world looks like and what it takes for me to get there, whether that goes going back to school, observation hours, retaking the GRE for like the third time. I was ready to do whatever it was going to take to get into PT school and kind of start moving into that role.
Little did you know what Pandora's box you opened when you
Yeah.
said whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about that process. Talk about when you came to grips with like, oh man, I got some stuff to do.
Yes. So being a non-traditional student or a non-traditional applicant, I guess, I don't have all the prereqs that not athletic training, most PT schools want. My background did not require me to take physics or chemistry or biology, so I kind of had to start looking at, okay, with work, how am I going to fit in prereqs that I need to take? Am I going to have to retake the GRE, observation hours, all that stuff? And of course, COVID kind of threw a wrench and all of that, kind of complicated some things, but was able to work around them. Luckily, a lot of schools were waiving observation hours, and alongside with my work experience, that kind of helped somewhat fill the gap of those. I also was able to find a program that still obviously had prereqs, but they were willing to take classes that were not the biology, the physics, and the chemistry. Some of my athletic training classes were able to be applied for prereqs instead. I had to take the GRE again. Spent a couple weeks after work. I would come home every day, spend a couple hours at my parents' kitchen table studying math to pull that score up. And luckily, I was able to pull it up and get it to a score that I was beyond happy with.
Just like elementary school. Come
Yes.
home from a long day
went
and
to work and then went to work and then came home and did homework, went to bed, and then same thing all over again. But it was definitely worth it. definitely worth it. And I had a really good support system that they were willing to help in whatever way they could. So I was very, very fortunate with that.
Awesome. Awesome. So some things that you mentioned that I think are super important is you were willing to reach out and ask
Yeah.
programs, right?
Yeah.
Like it's and I think a lot of people hesitate to do that. And sometimes, I think you applied during the COVID year, right?
Mhm.
Which is like it's a cool class of people because there are, there's changes that are made and some people are like this is my best opportunity right now. I
Yep.
should like just seize the day, right?
Yes. Hmm.
And I really admired a lot of the applicants who like, I don't know how this is going to work or what it's going to look like, but we're just going to go for it. Right.
Yep.
And I think that's so cool that you were a part of that. But I think what is also special is that you took the time to reach out
Yes. I
and
think
to ask them like, hey, how
yeah.
can are you willing to accommodate? Go ahead. Sorry. I didn't mean
I think with your encouragement, I think I emailed maybe a dozen and a half programs asking what, if anything they would take. A lot of the answers were pretty much no, but
right.
there was that one program that luckily I was able to make things work. So
Right. And that program was
Elon University.
Elon.
Yes, Elon
Nice.
in North
Yeah.
Carolina.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So as far as that goes,
Mhm.
another thing you mentioned. So yes, I gave you a nudge. You got to talk to him, right?
Yeah,
Because we don't know. We won't
right.
know until we ask.
Yep.
But you asked a lot of schools and you got a lot of no's,
Hmm.
right? How did you
What?
handle that?
Um, it was a bummer, but also I knew that it was a long shot, but kind of like you were saying, you don't know unless you ask. The worst that they're going to do is say no. And if they say no, then okay, you figure out, okay, they're saying no. So what's the next step of what I need to do to take to where my goals are? Um, if every place, if it wasn't an option to take the kinesiology and the biomechanics and the XPhys instead of the other classes that are normally required, I would have been enrolling in the community college and going to take the pre-reqs, it doesn't hurt to ask. And
Sure.
then maybe it'll make you stand out in the next round of applications,
Sure.
um,
Absolutely.
you just you have to grind it out and do whatever it takes. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to get it done.
Right. And I think that's another big factor is you weren't just hoping like, oh, I hope they let me in. And if they
Mhm.
don't, like, whatever, I'll just go back to my job. Like you were going to do it, whatever it took.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that's this balance of there's a bit of luck and
Hmm.
timing and
Yep.
also effort that
Yes.
goes into everything. Right. So, what is that? The definition of luck when preparation meets opportunity type of a thing. Right.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
that's so true because like you did all of these things
Hmm.
and you could have been like, you know what, like I just need to wait a year and I'm just gonna get all my
Hmm.
prereqs. But now you're a year closer to
Yes.
doing what you want to do,
Right.
right? And being able to bump up your PT salary, and now you can wear an ATC hat or
Yeah.
a DPT hat once you finish school.
Right.
Um, so it's a huge opportunity for you to be able to do those things. And kudos to you for
Thank
taking the
you.
plunge and not being afraid of maybe they'll say no,
Hmm.
but you only need one yes, and
Yes.
that's what you got.
Right.
So
That's all
uh,
it takes.
now we spoiled the ending of the story, right? So you got into Elon.
I
Let's
did.
talk about what all went into that after you found out that they were willing to work with you,
Uh-huh.
and then when you were full steam ahead on Elon. Talk about that now.
So I had the interview process. That was virtual, of course. Freaked out a little bit because within the first 3 minutes, my internet went out, and I was like, "There goes my chance." But I got back on very quickly. I didn't really miss anything, so it was okay. But yeah, I had the interview. I guess about 2 or 3 weeks later, found out I was waitlisted. And then maybe not even a month after that, I was accepted. So it was a waiting game. It was kind of an emotional roller coaster waiting game. But it was, in the end, it was all worth it. All of your help was much appreciated. Coming home for 6 weeks to study for the GRE every day after work was worth it. I wouldn't trade anything, and I'm excited to get to Elon this winter.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think something else that goes along with that is when we when we sat you down, I remember like how anxious you were for like your
Oh,
interview
yes.
prep,
Yeah.
right? Because like you were sitting there, this is it. This is
Mm-hmm.
my shot. I better not
Yeah.
blow it, right?
Yep. All my eggs in the
Um,
basket. That was it. So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
nerve-wracking.
right, right. And I think everything is when you've only got one school and it's like your dreams are riding on that.
Yeah.
Um, so what did you do to help you navigate those nerves of being like, it's all or nothing at this
Yeah.
point?
Well, practicing with you definitely calmed me down.
Yeah.
And I just kind of had to remind myself that I was capable of doing this, that I was deserving of being there and having an interview, and knowing that my background in athletic training, I think, will set me up for success for a career in physical therapy, and really just practicing and kind of thinking of the weird, obscure questions that you're going to get in an interview, the normal, strengths and weaknesses, and just reminding myself to like stay true to myself and who I am, and that that people can tell when you're being genuine and when you're being true to yourself and honest. And yeah, just thinking of
Cool.
a couple stories to relay back, and then just staying calm
Yes.
and staying true to yourself.
Absolutely. I think that was a common theme of some
Yeah.
of our coaching feedback was
Mm-hmm.
you can't operate from a position of what you don't have,
Right.
because at this point it's not going to change. We're not going to get observation hours right now. We couldn't.
Right. Right.
We're not going to retake prereqs
Mm-mm.
at this point.
What's done is
So
done. So we got to
what's
rock
done
and
is
roll with it.
done, and you just
Yeah.
own it, right?
Yeah.
And you have, for like clinical experience and different things, like you have hand over fist opportunities and real life in the training room experiences compared to some people who've got like
Right.
100 hours of observation,
Right.
right?
Right.
And just hounding that in, like there is so much crossover. And I think looking into, like if I were to go back to undergrad, like I definitely would have done the athletic training route.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I took exercise science, felt like it was the easy way out.
Yeah.
Athletic training, like all of those, all the
Yeah.
ATCs in my class were like so much more prepared and just like,
That makes
you
you feel
know,
better.
yeah, no, they really came in and they were confident and they were comfortable, and there's like so much crossover.
Yeah. You get exposed to a
Obviously,
lot.
yeah, obviously there's a lot of differences between the two, but there is a lot of crossover, and I think that's something they look for. Is they look at ATCs and they're like, yeah, they're going to get it and they're going to be able to jump in, and you have the hand skills, you have those different techniques, and
Right.
it'll help you. It'll be a big asset for you going
Thank
forward.
you. Thank you.
So, why do you feel like people should use physical therapy application code?
I don't think I would have gotten in if I hadn't. Thanks to my mom finding you.
Yes.
And me going home being
Renee.
like, what is this? What did you sign me up for? Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten in if I didn't have your help and your guidance. The essay, I think, was probably something that kind of put me over the edge. And the essay would not have been where it is if it had not been for you. And even just,
It was dope, by the way. It was really
thank
good.
you.
Really
Thank you.
Because it was you. It was like your content. It was you owning who you are. So much better.
But yeah, we wouldn't have gotten there without you.
Okay.
I can promise you that.
Well, me and yeah.
And then just, again, having the encouragement to email blindly over a dozen schools, saying, here's what I have. You will work with me. And knowing that it was okay if they said no, we just move on, say thanks, but understand. Practicing for the interview honestly made a world of difference too. Because I think for a while I was so fixated on having the perfect answer that I was trying to like memorize. And the more that I was practicing with you and trying to practice with my parents, I was realizing I was freaking out because I couldn't remember the perfect answer when I really should have just been like speaking from the heart. And I think that if I hadn't had those sessions with you, that I wouldn't have realized that. I would have been freaking out come the day of the interview, worried about having the perfect memorized answers. And that's not how it needs to be. You just need to let it come naturally and come from what you really feel.
100%.
Yeah, we would not be going to Elon if my mom had not found you somehow on the internet.
I know.
I would
What
be
a,
still in New Orleans.
that was a very interesting
Yes.
conversation. I was
Yes.
like,
I
who is
got
this?
home and I was like, who is this person? Why are they texting me? What's going on?
Yeah. Gotta
But
love your mom, right? They always
yes,
got your back.
yeah, she wanted to be on this call tonight, but I was like, you stay home, I got it. So she says
We'll
hello.
do a separate one.
Yeah,
Me and
yeah.
Cindy will
She'll
do a
have to do a
separate one.
guest appearance.
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll have like a mom testimonial.
yeah.
That'll be
She
my
would
new
be all
thing.
over it.
That'll be my
She would have
first
no
mom
problem doing that.
testimonial. Yeah. Okay. Well, Renee, what advice do you have for pre-PTs coming up who are maybe
Um,
they're in your shoes, maybe they're not? What do you have to say?
just go for it. Trust yourself, trust your gut instinct. Find a good support system. This process can be overwhelming. It can feel like it's dragging on. Good support system is key. And just grind it out and do what it takes to get there. This is your goal for a reason. So remember your why and do whatever it takes to accomplish reaching your goal.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Super good.
Thanks.
And I hope someone will take that to heart. I know there's going to be people who will watch this that are they're on the fence.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Do it.
they
Just go.
go for it, right?
Yeah. Just go.
And what's the worst they can
Never
tell
know
you?
what's going to
No?
happen. Right.
Yeah,
First they're going to say is no, and then pick up the pieces and you move on from there.
absolutely. Or you get in and you're
Yeah.
like,
Or you get in.
hey, that worked.
Work with you and you get in. Yeah. And then you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Renee, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I know it's late over there. I really
Okay.
appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for
Best
having
of
me.
luck going into your DPT program.
Thank you.
Elon's going to love you.
Thank you.
And don't forget to use all those resources that are in your package. So that way
Yeah.
you can, I know you mentioned being kind of worried or anxious about
Yeah.
jumping back into school because
Yes.
it's been a little bit.
Yes. It's been
Uh,
a little while.
that's going to help you make that jump back
Yeah.
in, regardless of whether you're like coming straight out of bachelor's or you're coming straight out of just working. Right.
Right. Right.
So best of luck with
Thank you.
everything. Thank you so much.